All right. Hey, y'all. This is Michelle Oliver and Randy Hendrickson, and we're really excited to kind of do this video just off the shoulder because Lord knows anything we do is not rehearsed, not scheduled, not scripted. That's part of the fun of what we're doing. What we're doing is this thing called Expitality. And Expitality came about because Michelle and I were talking about experiential hospitality and how it's really the case that a lot of businesses kind of overlook why they're doing what they're doing, their brand messaging, everything, when in fact it's all about the guest and how the guest perceives the brand. And we got thinking about it, isn't there a better way than just surveys? Isn't there a better way than just filling out a blank or a circle? So we started kicking around this idea, and we've kind of invited you into this just to see how our brains work or don't work, as the case may be. But expitality is really just a different way to look at how you're thinking about your brand and guest first focus. So Michelle and I both believe that a sense of community is important to all of us. A sense of belonging is important to all of us. It's also nice to get off the grid and be by ourselves. But the one thing that links us all is experiences. When we travel, we have experiences. When we talk with our fellow travelers, we have experiences. At the front desk, we have experiences. So we want to just spin this a little bit different way. And Michelle, you and I have been talking about this a lot. But one of the interesting things that Michelle and I have been talking about quite a bit is when we really broke it down, when you make a decision to travel somewhere, you go to this resource, you Google this, you look at this travel log, whatever it is. In your mind's eye, you create an idea of what it is you want to find when you get to this destination. When you're going through that process, you imagine yourself being there. You imagine the look and feel. When you're presented the information from a website, from any kind of publication, what they've done is created something for you to express what they feel their value proposition is. So if I view that, if Michelle views that, we say, okay, based on what they've told me, based on the pictures, based on the words they've used, I'm expecting X. So what Expitality wants to do is get into that process and say, well, you traveler made these decisions. You had something preconceived in mind. When you arrived at the property, did it match what you had in mind? If so, yes, and if not, why? Why is this important? It's important because if the business is saying we're a family-friendly, very quiet, serene place, because it sounds good on the marketing materials, but I don't find that when I get there, there's a disconnect between what the brand has promised and what I as a guest have received. So what we seek to do is have that conversation. That can't be quantified in a survey. Surveys don't create data. Surveys create data, but data doesn't create data. Humans do by the decisions they make and how they market their property. So if we can go in and physically talk to the business owner, what is your vision? What about you as president in this business? Then turn around and talk to the guests and say, the message is this, but if you didn't see that, what are the things that are important? Surveys can't do that, but when we can get the information from the guest that says, it was really family friendly, that meant something to me, or I didn't perceive family friendly, but I thought it might be. If we can bring that conversational intelligence, we call it experiential intelligence, back to the business owner, they in turn can visit with their marketing crew and say, you know what, from what we're hearing from live interaction, we've missed on these points. We didn't accentuate this enough. So when you go back and recraft your message based on what real people are saying about your business, it makes you smarter and better to the task of telling the right story. People want honesty and truth. We're kind of that litmus test to say, are they getting the truth of your brand? And are you telling the truth about your brand? This helps grow your business.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, you said that so well, Randy. So it's really an opportunity for you as a business owner or an operator to really get clear on what it is you want as well, because we always start out with what we think is a really clear vision, and then you're having the experience, right? You go live basically, or you've been live for years, but it is an opportunity at the very core for the conversation to happen about, why am I really doing this? So we work with you to dig really deeply and understand, what are my values? What is my vision? What is my passion? What is this about? Why am I doing this? And what is the experience that I really wish everyone will have when they come onto this property? So we kind of start with a really just a basic, candid conversation with the business owner. And then that leads to the intelligence, so that we understand, what is it that really drives you? What is it that you want these people to experience? And then when we are out there having these conversations, we have customized the questions that we're asking based on your needs. And then we take the lead from the guest and kind of follow through on that to go deeper with them. And it's an opportunity for you to understand your guest at a very core level, to understand what is driving them, what their motivation is. And it goes so far beyond anyone on the property delivering a survey, simply because we are an unbiased third party having a very I don't know, what would you call it? Just a very authentic conversation. And
And you and I have been talking about this so often, about some of the basic concepts, and to you and I, it seems like it's kind of an intuitive thing. And yet, the more we start thinking about it, the more we start thinking, but really nobody's been doing this before. And some things kind of came to mind for you and I, one of which was we acknowledge that data is very valuable. We provide experiential intelligence, not data. You're already tracking the data through whatever means you're using as a good business owner. You're tracking this matrix, that matrix, and what have you. The interesting thing about surveys, though, is as when you and I were talking about, it's like, hey, Michelle, you just went and stayed at this really cool place. What was your experience there? You wouldn't answer by saying 4, but the front desk was a 5.
yeah,
Cleanliness 3.5, because
right,
that's not how people talk. So
right.
what we're doing is saying surveys are great, go ahead and do them. We're bringing something called experiential intelligence, which is people have conversations that they recommend to their friends about, this is how I felt, it smelled like this, the food was amazing, they made me feel this. There isn't any survey that can do that. It's only through conversation. And that's why we're doing Expitality. That's why we call it experiential intelligence. It's real actionable data that comes from your guests to tell you how you're doing with your brand messaging.
Exactly. We're really capturing conversations that you're not hearing right now in a way that is really unique. And not only does it provide this quantifiable data, but it also enhances the guest experience on your property, because they
100%.
are consciously articulating what they love. And perhaps they've gone through, a transformational journey while they've been on your property. Things happen when people are on vacation, right? They're looking for expansion. So we kind of bring that to light, and they're connecting even more deeply with your property, where, wow, this is what happened. And then this person cared enough to have a conversation. So we're enhancing their overall experience. And then that also provides content for you. And although we say again and again, we are not a marketing company. However, this is such rich content for you to use on social media or wherever you want to use it.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because what we do with Expitality is create these environments where people can free flow and speak candidly. There's no lighting rig. We're not doing professional anything. It's all designed to be just like you dropped in on a conversation with your own guests and did so anonymously. And one of the things you mentioned is the value of objectivity. And with any business, we ask ourselves, what's the downside? What would somebody else just try to do this themselves? The truth is, you probably could do it yourself. The problem is, will it be objective third party? If you're wearing the company uniform shirt, it probably look more like a commercial, and you're going to edit it to just the things that will sell the property. There's nothing wrong with that. Good businesses do that all the time. But our feeling is that there's real value to have an independent third party just to show up and just observe how people are interacting on your property and give you that information. And we think that that really is the only one of the things that really makes us different, I think, is when we can capture those conversations, those sound bites. It's unfiltered. It's not sitting at the computer when you get back and you're tired from the drive and I'm cranky, so I'm going to give them a 3 where I would have given them a 4. The 3 or the 4 doesn't tell you anything. People are telling you something. We're just giving them a voice.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real value too, there's a lot, but another aspect of that is simply that we are so passionate about this. I mean, we didn't plan to do this. We came together with you have all these decades of experience in this industry. And then I come from the other side of this, which is personal development, communication, coaching. It is decades of having conversations. And so when we bring this together, we really have been able to create a formal structure around something that usually is, it's you don't even stumble upon it, like there's no way that you could capture these kinds of conversations. You'd have to be like a mystery shopper sneaking around your property or something. So we have found a way to present something that is really private and intimate and real in a way that you can use in a very structured, data driven kind of way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because the things that we uncover for the property and for the guests help steer what your marketing people will do so well. If they have some new, fresh data, some new experiential intelligence to work from, that might help craft the message that in turn drives the data. So it's not like they're unrelated, but one is very organic and conversational. The other is just more hard numbers. We live in the conversational part because, again, that's just another bizarre example. If you and I were talking about X, Y, or Z right now, we'd be talking as we're talking right now. So if that's captured on a brief little film that goes to the business that we were just talking about, they just had real people in real time sharing real experiences, and that's how we all communicate. So another way to put it maybe is we're taking just a moment in time where people are being free to communicate about a brand and a brand promise and experience, and providing that back to you through an objective third party to say, are we hitting where we need to hit to really tell the story? Are we being truthful with what we're saying? Where do we need to focus? That's valuable to a business. And the interesting thing about that, like we've been talking about, it's also valuable for the guests, because if you're a business owner and your guest has somebody saying, can we just kind of talk to you about what you're doing in here, how you got here, what that process was like? You've just engaged through a third party on a very personal and intimate level, whereas maybe your staff is extremely well gifted in hospitality practices, but it's not really that spur of the moment, drop in, have a conversation type of thing. If I'm a guest at your property and Michelle comes up to me and says, would you mind sharing a few thoughts about this property? I'm going to think very highly of the business that they had the foresight to say, this does matter to me, and we want them to know that. That tells me something about your brand, the fact that you're even having somebody at your behest to inquire about things that matter to them. That tells me that you're interested in me, and that brings loyalty. So you've got it from both ends. The business can really tell their story as they want it told about, this is what we believe at our core and what we want our people to experience. Your guests are going to feel that. You've asked me. No one's done that before. No one's really asked me what it was like, and I'm tired of surveys. Talk to me.
Yeah, and exactly. And truthfully, as you were speaking, I was thinking about when when I had a restaurant and event center, and it was within a tourist environment. So almost every night I was out there in the crowd asking these questions. And
Right.
that was the most valuable intelligence that I ever got. However, I was the owner, right? And that was a whole different orientation and relationship. So um, to your point, having a third party do this, and not just some random third party, but people who really have been in the industry on different levels, and we really understand how to have those conversations, what to ask based on what we've customized from you. And we're also customizing how we go about it. So, for example, there could be an event that you really want a wandering person just
Right.
checking in with people. Or we can create really delightful, unique environments for groups of people to gather around a campfire or around a tea party, or depending on what it is, or having a hike through the howling monkeys in Belize, who I just was talking with
Sounds
people
great.
about.
That
Yeah.
sounds so appealing.
When you start to look at it from all of these different vantage points, it's not just, a survey or feedback or a conversation. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is so much deeper and richer. So I'm thinking, as a business owner, it's going to build momentum, deepen the relationship, and it's going to accelerate my ability to serve at a level that I am truly differentiating myself in the industry. So there is value from just a variety of different vantage points.
Well,
And
so
it's fun. It's fun.
well, and that's the best part, right? It's fun. And it's really interesting because you and I've talked so much about this stuff, and from my perspective, having been in the outdoor hospitality world for not, I wouldn't say way too many years. It's not enough. I'm just getting started, believe it or not. But in the outdoor
Like
hospitality
30
world,
years, right?
huh?
30 years.
Coming up on 30 years. That's exactly right. Never happier
I've
to be
been
doing what I'm
talking for
doing.
more than 30 years. I've been having conversations for more than kidding.
Some of our conversations last 30 years, it feels like, because we just keep rolling. We just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, but that's the fun part. But that's one of the really cool things, I think. Having been in this space for so long, it's easy to see what is being done, and sometimes it's harder to realize what's not being done. And you like simplicity, I like simplicity. And so when I was thinking about it from a business perspective, I've got this data, this survey, this. I'm going to track these metrics. And again, you have to do that kind of stuff. But until we really started thinking this through together from your perspective and from what I've learned about this industry, no one's really just kind of stripped everything down to the basics. So if I am an outdoor hospitality product, I want guests to show up and have fun. And so there's processes and things and track this and do that and spend here, don't spend here. But when you strip it down to the simplest elements, somebody just paid to be at my property, expecting a certain experience. If
Yeah,
I don't deliver on that, I'm out of business. So if
right.
we're that conversational link between all these processes to what really matters, do they enjoy your property and why? That's
Mhm.
just simplicity in its purest form. And yet it hasn't been done. This is why I get so excited about this, because having been in the trenches, no one's done this. And I think it's about time.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the thing that excites me the most is through something that we both know how to do this from different vantage points, right? And we really care about both, as do you, the business owner and the guest. If you're a business owner, of course you care about the guest, and the guest needs elevation. So they need something more than they have been given. Everybody wants more. And I'm not even so sure they know what they want.
Yeah.
So we've got to dig deeper, and the only way to do that is to be real and have a conversation that permits people to understand what it is they really want and express that. And then that intelligence goes right to you. And what is more valuable than knowing what your guest wants? So
And
it's huge.
what's funny? While you were just talking, I was just thinking to myself, we both love simplicity, right? And I'm thinking the business owner says, I want guests. But is the
Yes.
guest saying, I want you? That's kind of the question we're asking, right? In
Yes.
hospitality, I want guests. Okay, now my guests are here. You better flip that around. Is the guest saying, I want you because I believe in your culture, your values, the experience you're providing. And when you let me know that you're interested in me and you have somebody talking to me about what matters to me, and you're gauging that feedback provided to you to provide even better experience, now I can honestly say they do want me. They want me to be here. And when we can do that in the hospitality industry and make the guests feel like I'm wanted, I'm desired, I'm being heard, they're listening to me, they have some sort of authorship in the evolving story of that brand. If their feedback through Expitality and Talk About TV brings something to light that helps a business owner say, well, of course I want them. Now I really need them to want me, and this is how we do it. The business is served, the guests are served. If you don't serve the guests, you don't have a business. And it's just really crazy, right? When you break it right down, it's as simple as a conversation that is
I,
not cloaked with an agenda. That's just me and you talking, and here's what they had to say.
yeah, it's crazy.
Simple.
It's actually the entire core of the business. And yet you and I both know, as does every owner operator, that we get lost in the tents, the cabins, the opera. There's so much to it. And even if you are training, in a Disney style where everything is attended to, even that is still a framework for a connection and a conversation and a feeling. And this is truly what it boils down to. You are the one that says this all the time. How do you feel? How are you feeling when that person opens the door and shows you could be the coolest glamping site, but if you feel weird or you feel not seen or cared about or heard, it doesn't matter how perfect it looks. It just doesn't matter. So we're going to pull all of the ties together so you can wrap it up in that beautiful bow and make sure that the core of what matters, which is how people feel,
Yeah.
is attended.
What just came to mind as you were talking about that? I know that for me personally, service always wins over anything else. I mean, almost without exception. So, for example, there might be a restaurant in town. We've all experienced this where the food is absolutely top notch, but the wait staff are unattentive or they're distracted or downright rude, and there's an air of arrogance about it. Like our food is so good, we know you'll come back. That's a mistake. I'd
Yeah.
rather go to the place where the food is a notch below, but they know who I am and they talk to me and I talk back with them. We're real humans engaging. I'm learning about their job. They learn something about me. That's really hospitality in its purest form. We always go where we feel valued. That doesn't mean people bow to us. That's not what that means. It doesn't mean that there are indentured servants. It just means, are they taking an interest in me spending money at their establishment? And does that mean something to them? When it does, I will go to that business time and time and time again. It's no different in outdoor hospitality, right? Because if you may go to the five-star accommodations, but if they don't have five-star hospitality, it's like I stayed in an expensive place, but it didn't really feel like mine. It didn't really feel like anything other than an expensive place to stay. But that place that says, "Yo, what's up? It's sure good to see you. How about that dog you got with you? Hope he's not going to bite anybody today," and just kind of just be real with you. I'm communicating, and I feel like, okay, I believe in what they're doing. They make sense to me. That's my loyalty anyway, and I don't think that I'm the Lone Ranger in that. I think most, if we're honest, will admit to that. Doesn't
But
mean
I
it doesn't mean that they're being utter servants. It just means, do you know that your business is important to me? So am I important enough to you? And when that answer is yes, that's always where I'm going to go back to.
And this was beautifully said, Randy. And everything, I mean, everyone in hospitality knows. Like when I had a restaurant, I just would look, I can't wait for something to go wrong. And it very rarely did. But whenever there was, if we ran out of a certain dish or something, that is always your greatest opportunity to create that loyal fan. And I did it several times with people that they just love you because you love on them. So at the core of Expitality is hospitality.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to provide for you, the essence of hospitality. And we could go on for an hour about how much we care about staff and culture, and we can provide training and all of that, but that's another story. What we really want to provide for you is what you need. And that's what we're here for. So many years in the industry, whatever you need, we will help you attain that goal. But primarily, it starts with a really simple conversation. And I think that's what I want to invite you all to do is like, this is new for us and it's all old as the hills because we've been doing it for between the two of us, probably 100 years. I don't know. But 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 it's also fresh and new because to me that's what hospitality is too. Every person, every guest that walks in, it's a brand new opportunity for connection and communication and to serve. And that's what the core of hospitality really is about. It's like you're always calling it the care gene. You either have it or you don't. Well, we also know how to develop that in people. So just we could I could talk all day once I get going now that I know where I'm going, but that's what we're here to do, is to serve you and help you better serve others, and in doing so lift up the entire outdoor hospitality space.
Well, and that's what it's all about. And for whoever might be watching this, you'll be seeing several more of these because it's kind of interesting because we thought about just jumping on and just having a conversation like we're doing, but it also is the absolute embodiment of what Expitality is. It's just conversation. We can look you we hope you're looking at the website probably. You can look at websites, pictures, materials, and words, and we have to rely that you're going to understand about what we really mean by that to have some interest in watching a video like this. But it's through these kind of things. It's actually through calling Michelle and just having the regular conversation, not relying on the typical media materials, but just saying, let's just have a conversation. Here's my business and what I want to do. What would you guys do? And like you said, Michelle, it is kind of like, here's the things we do, but what do you need that to look like? What do you want to measure? You become co-authors with the business owner. And through that, what we've kind of discovered, I think, is that Expitality and Talk About TV is kind of the way to establish that relationship with the business and between the business and guests. If the business needed some help with this or that, if they needed help with staff training, if they needed help with hotel development, anything like that, we're very proud of the people that we've come in contact with and that we know, right? And we've got great people. So we don't pretend to be the beat all end all, but if you need a certain service that we don't provide, we can very often recommend a service provider that does it really well, who's known to us, who are friends with us, and that will take good care of you. So it just goes through so many different legs, and it's really all about the same thing, which what you're saying. It's to elevate, to uplift, to be of service, which is what you and I are both about.
Yeah.
And through Talk About and Expitality, it's the avenue to find other things that may be able to help you. It's in the interest of elevating all at the best level possible.
Yeah, let's just get back to the core of hospitality.